Yuba-Sutter.Live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
We need your strength, your peace for our communities, for the county. So I thank you for all that have gathered here today. People of goodwill, people of faith. So we need your direction. I thank you for the men and women that have taken leadership, that you've voted in, they've come in to guide them, to give them wisdom, to work together for the good of our community. So we ask for your blessing this morning. We pray. Amen.
Thank you, David. We'll do roll call.
Supervisor Vasquez?
Here.
Supervisor House?
Here.
Supervisor Bradford?
Here.
Supervisor Messick?
Here.
Supervisor Fuhr?
Yes.
Thank you.
And now we're going to do an addendum to the agenda.
Chairman Fuhrer and members of the board, I recommend a closed session be added to today's agenda as agenda item 59/2026. The agenda item would be conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, section 54956.9, Yuba County Superior Court, number CVP 025-01731, Catherine Collins versus City of Marysville and County of Yuba et al. The board may add it using the urgency exception, Government Code 54954.2, subdivision B2, with a 2/3 vote and by making the following two findings. Number one, there is a need to take immediate action because the county was served a lawsuit on Monday and it needs to be responded to within 30 days and the next regular meeting is not for 2 weeks. Number two, the need for action came to the county's attention after the agenda deadline because it was served on February 9th.
Very good. Any public comment? Is there a motion?
I'll move to make those findings and add it to the agenda.
Second. Does it need to be roll call or is regular vote fine?
I just need a 2/3 vote. So I think roll call.
Supervisor Vasquez?
Yes.
Supervisor House?
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr?
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford?
Yes.
Supervisor Messick?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
All right. We'll move to the consent agenda. Is there any public comment? We're going to pull one item. It is the minutes. There was a mistake made on the cost accounting hearing. It had two of the supervisors being absent, and instead they voted no. Is there any other comments on the minutes we'd like to make?
Through the chair, I'd just like to make the comment too. I asked that we add an item to the minutes expressing that I had asked for us to add parental consent to our county contract with HHS and the school districts, but I was told it couldn't be added to the minutes, but I just wanted to make a point that it's available on the video if anybody wants to go back and see the record.
Very good. Thank you.
With that, I'd move for approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will move to special presentations. We have a presentation about Chico's Pallet Shelter from a Mr. Calvin Coolidge. No, not Calvin. My bad.
That's all right. I'm used to that. Honorable Supervisors, thank you very much for having me here today. The idea behind this is just to present you very generally information on Chico's Pallet Shelter. A lot of local and regional governments have inquired about it over the years. We've made presentations like this almost ad nauseum, to be honest, just to provide some background and kind of tell you the aspects of it. You're getting a paper copy. My apologies to the general public. Our PowerPoint did not successfully load, so but I will leave my copy as well, so if anyone from the public wants it, and I'm sure it'll be available after. First off, I wanted to say last time this board well, I had interaction with them was when my father passed away in the Cascade Fire, and I just wanted to thank you. So most of you weren't here at that time, but that was obviously back in 2017, and the board did a very nice proclamation. Prior to that, I think it was 20 years prior, I did a tire recycling program when I had to come and present in front of Yuba County Board of Supervisors. So that's kind of where I got my start. So anyway, you know, everybody's aware of what's happened with the homeless situation, both you know, regionally and throughout the state and throughout the United States, and the things that we've faced. So obviously for Chico and other surrounding areas, that crisis worsened during COVID and escalated in early 2020 and continued through that summer. So upon taking office in 2020, the new council strengthened our laws. We ended up in a lawsuit because Martin v. Boise was still the law of the land. So Chico later actually became party through an amicus brief to what occurred with the Supreme Courts through the Grants Pass case, and ended up actually being mentioned in that opinion about 4 times. So we were very active on the legal side of it. And a lot of things that the counties do and cities do are obviously to avoid some of those legal issues. So moving forward, that was something that was very concerning to us. We were sued in federal court by Legal Services of Northern California, and that kind of spurred the whole aspect of what happened in Chico. So we entered into a settlement agreement so enforcement could actually take place, and that was still while Martin v. Boise was active. Martin v. Boise, if you're not familiar, basically said very simply is you cannot remove homeless from any area without having shelter for them. So that shelter was tested and what defined shelter was tested in court several times. During the Martin v. Boise period, that shelter actually had to be a roof over your head, an actual place to, you know, live. Later, after the Grants Pass case, that became very less of the necessary level that you had to go to, and is now a little less than that. But still, obviously, I don't have to tell you guys that a lot of the aspects of the homeless situation don't necessarily fall to shelter space. Some of it does, definitely. Some of it falls to housing. Some of it falls to drug use. And then obviously courts and cops and jail space and things along those lines are also major impacts too. And that's why it's being felt throughout the country. So just kind of presenting you a overview of it. The Genesis Pallet Shelter was opened in April of 2022. The idea was to place enough beds under shelter that we'd actually be able to move forward with enforcement. And through a program where we would actually go out and interact, and those assessment teams are still in place in Chico, homeless were assessed and then given a location at either the Jesus Center, which is one of our local nonprofits we'll talk about here in a minute, or through the tourist shelter. They were given a space identified to go to that location, and then if they did not accept that, they could be moved out of their camping site. So the pallet shelter actually ended up with 177 individual pallet units that totaled 344 bed spaces, which was what we felt was ample enough to solve the homeless situation and move homeless from parks and waterways and things like that into actual space. So through that and through discussions and obviously through the settlement agreement, we ended up having small units. And the reason why they're called pallet shelters is it's kind of interesting. People think when you say pallet shelter is that it's actually built out of pallets. It is not. That is simply the brand name behind it. So the units themselves, you'll see pictured, and like I said, we'll leave copies for the public too. They're pretty much corrugated metal shelters. So they are built to last 10 to 15 years. They seem to be holding up to that promise actually at the shelter now. But the name pallet is just simply because of the brand name. They're not built out of pallets, as I've had a lot of people in Chico ask me why we're putting people up in old pallets. But as part of our agreement with the county donated a sizable amount of their COVID funds to actually fund the shelter. Their agreement was if we were to move forward that the units actually have heating and air conditioning, and they made it a condition of them using COVID funds to do that. So PG&E routed in power into every unit. And because of that, they also have heating and air conditioning, which the judge said was not necessary, but because of the stipulations that were brought by Butte County, it was necessary for us to have those kind of units. So it did raise the price a little, but Butte County picked up the tab for it, so we were happy about that. So Wi-Fi is available throughout the site. That's pretty instrumental in terms of getting people services and connecting them with services, is that they can actually get emails and reply to them. We have on-site case management, so they're actually taken through that process. But the Wi-Fi aspect is very helpful in terms of moving that forward. So showers and laundry were provided through contracted services. Both of those are coming onto the site themselves permanently as the city moves forward, but I'm not privy to those conversations anymore because I've been out of office since December 2024. 2 meals are provided daily, and then plus a snack, and then wraparound case management, meaning no one is in this shelter without talking to services on a regular basis. And that is a stipulation of being there. So we built it on city-owned land near Costco and Chico. I can tell you this is the most challenging aspect of this entire endeavor was not in my backyard. And as you're well aware, neighborhoods and businesses can be very vocal. If you actually look at the map or the overview of it, kind of to the top of the picture of the shelter itself here, Cal Water's to the top. The fairgrounds is to the right. A storage unit facility is to the left, and then the tourist shelter and then Costco are to the bottom. So this for us was one of the most logical areas to place it. It also fell into what legally you have to look at is, access to busing, things along those lines. But almost every area of Chico is within a quarter mile of a bus stop. So with as sizable as the town is, about 115,000 people now, we have actually really good bus access throughout the entire city. So moving on to the next page, shelter utilization and services. So there's been over 500 unique individuals who have stayed at Genesis. The name Genesis actually was chosen by the folks staying there. So they chose to rename the pallet shelter. I believe it was in 2023. They chose to rename the pallet shelter Genesis because I think they were also just tired of hearing the word pallet shelter. But so Genesis opened, and our 500 people have stayed since Genesis has opened. 78% of those people have been involved in chronic homelessness, meaning they have been homeless for a number of years. We did several sessions of having behavioral health come through. We brought in experts from throughout the country. We had numerous sessions with staff. We had numerous sessions with PD. We brought in groups on both sides of the aisle to actually talk and have conversations about homelessness in Chico. And at the end of the day, what we found out is that almost 50 to 70% of these people face serious either criminal histories, drug use, or mental illness. And that was directly from our behavioral health. So our goal was to move them into shelter and get them help. So 78%, again, chronic homelessness. Over 50% in the shelter currently face drug and alcohol related issues still. So the average length of stay as of the end of year 2 was about 341 days. So people did process out. I can tell you this, is there has been a few deaths on site, which would be natural for a place with such a high-risk population. There's been a minor fire, there's been some minor incidents, but nothing that would constitute anyone going, hey, this isn't working, at least for the housing aspect. The reality is, though, is that there is drug use on site, and part of our condition with the settlement agreement was to allow for that to happen. But we also limited things like visits in and, what exactly could be brought in and what could be stored there. So whereas you'll see the pictures and the pallet shelter looks, it looks pretty plain, and it's, set in a dirt lot that had to be graded, obviously, and then gravel was put down, and then each of the units were set up in a very strict fashion. What actually occurred is a lot of that has developed some personality. But there are very strict restrictions about what you will see, which is indicative of, fentanyl or heroin or extreme opioid use. You'll see the hoarding aspects of what goes on with the homeless population in campsites in the river bottoms, let's say, around here. And that is not allowed at the shelter. So there's a very strict requirement that is not allowed, and we don't have large pileups. But some of those are indicative of what comes with that kind of drug usage. So a lot of people say it's, they need garbage cans. I can tell you for a fact it's not garbage cans. They need drug counseling and help. So 330 people received case management across 2,358 sessions in just the first year. So the case management, if in fact you're doing something or venturing down this kind of road, is the most important aspect that you can possibly have. That has been very intense in terms of doing it. So getting to the last page, which is always the big aspect that everybody wants to know, what it cost. So it did cost a substantial amount of money to get it up and running. Obviously, there was grading the site. We encountered some issues with our own fire department in terms of vehicles being able to turn around within the site. Chico has several ladder trucks and is required to have several ladder trucks, and they wanted accessibility to be able to turn around. So the site had to be reorganized several times to make sure that could happen. Even though there's no structures over a single story. But the little fight we had with our own fire department, you guys can understand how that occurs. So $1.7 million in county COVID funds supported shelter units. And I can say that Chico would have never been able to build this pallet shelter if it wasn't for the use of COVID funds. So the majority of what we used were our CARES Act funding. And that really allowed us to spend extra dollars outside of our regular budget to be able to put it in place. We were one of the first places to put it in place. Actually, Sacramento has built a larger shelter at this point. A lot of cities throughout California have built larger shelters since then. A lot of them had to use general funds to do so. We were extremely lucky in actually approaching this problem early because we were able to use funds, and our county actually supplied the $1.7 million for the actual shelters themselves. We also got a lot of services donated. PG&E came in and did the power, and then obviously Comcast came in and did the Wi-Fi too. That's our carrier up in that area. So ongoing site operation. And keep in mind, Chico has a budget of about $250 million, which is the largest budget for any city north of Sacramento, and sizable. Obviously, we're not county size in terms of our budget because we're not providing behavioral health or anything along those lines. But for a city, it is pretty sizable budget. So we roughly $5 million per year supports the pallet shelter and its ongoing site operations. So, of course, this does not include the assessment teams on the street, the cleanup at the campsites in the community, and the use of police department staff to address a variety of issues. I will say that the thing that needs to be duly noted and is most worthy of being noted is the organization that we have actually running this site. And it's the Jesus Center, if you're not familiar with it. They used to have a facility in downtown Chico, which was very close to the downtown, which provided meal service and also mostly for men, but overnight stays. They moved that facility, and a lot of people have said that facility was part of what was generating homeless problems in the city of Chico. And in the downtown particularly. They moved that site close to the fairgrounds, close to where the pallet shelter is, and that situation in our downtown did not change. And actually, I was kind of taken aback and surprised by that too, because I was a big proponent of them actually moving out of the downtown area, but it virtually did nothing to change the number of homeless we had in the downtown area. So, but that organization has run the shelter since. They have an excellent director, Amber Abney Bass. She's fantastic. She runs it with a passion, and that's been a big part of the success of the unit. There has been a lot of success stories out of this. People who have literally changed their lives and gotten their lives back on track, and that's been very important and was a big goal of what we wanted to have happen. So we also have stories of people who just ended up leaving and going back to life on the street because they simply didn't like the rules in place at the pallet shelter or didn't like, congregational living that was either at the tourist shelter or pallet shelter. So those are ongoing issues. There are some avenues for funding through the governor's program. We actually were able to obtain a $2.7 million grant to actually help fund the shelter. That's ongoing, but it does provide and take over the costs of a number of the shelters for a considerable number of years. So we were very happy to get that one, in fact, because it was basically supplanting local funds that would have otherwise been used. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if not, I'm happy to just be here and provide you information.
Any questions?
Through the chair. A couple questions. First, thanks for coming today and
Yeah.
sharing this. So my first question is, on average, and I'm sure it varies, kind of how full is the shelter typically?
Yeah, and that's a question we've gotten a lot. Usually you're looking about 3/4 full.
Okay.
That varies on time of year, weather conditions, things along those lines, and how active the assessment teams really are. So, but you're looking at a city with a lot more shelter space than just this pallet shelter. So we have the Jesus Center itself, which has, I think, up to 100 additional beds. We have the tourist shelter, which is also providing beds, and then several, smaller organizations that are doing it. We have what we call Chico Housing Action Team. They actually put folks who are really transitioning into jobs, into homes. So, I would say more than anywhere, Chico is a very caring community. Sometimes folks will say that we care too much, and that's been the cause of the problem. And certainly we've had that discussion up in Chico. But generally speaking, to answer your question, it's about 2/3 to 3/4 full. It has never been at capacity.
Okay. And then after it was up and running for a while, approximately what percentage reduction do you think that the city saw in homeless kind of out on the street in encampments, that kind of thing?
And there was a lot of discussion about that too. A lot of people would say that it was a magnet for more homeless coming to Chico. That is in fact not what the evidence showed. What the evidence showed was the folks going into this shelter were not seeking it from any other place. They were literally just assessed and put into it. So a lot of those folks, of course, whenever you encounter homeless folks, the obvious answer of where you're from is, oh, I'm from here. So it's hard to actually assess how many of those folks came from, out of the area. We had a lot of, people who would say that people were bused into Chico just for the pallet shelter. What they don't realize is almost every city and county, and you guys might or might not have one, but have busing programs. So, homeless folks can get to family members or friends who can actually help them out of homelessness. And Chico actually does have a busing program through our police department. It's not overly used. Most of the cities, it's not overly used.
To clarify on that particular question, do you know what the pit count might have been prior to the shelter and then the pit count most recently?
So, the pit count was part of the shelter. So the shelter numbers were actually part of the pit count.
Okay, so they included a MIGA.
So it doesn't necessarily help go how many people on the street. I can tell you that the number of people on the street have increased in the last year substantially. We think that, or at least my opinion about that is that has more to do with the enforcement out on the street over the past year. And I think that's really, shows where, that give and take is. It's great to be able to have a service for people who really need one and to have a transitional site. But at the same time, too, you don't want to be a mecca for any of this aspect. So, and that was a big concern by the citizens of Chico. It was a big concern from me, too. But in terms of the folks in Chico, anyone who doesn't realize there's homeless problems everywhere, including, states like Texas and Florida, which people say are fine, are actually having the hugest increase in homeless over the last 2 years that they've ever had. So this problem is not just central to California. It's certainly just not central to Northern California. So, but, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chair, just thank you again for coming and presenting. I had a question on the state funding. Is that on top of the $5 million city funding?
No, so that was actually able to subtract from that $5 million funding. Okay. So that $2.7 million grant was over the course of a couple of years. It was used for assessment, but it was also used to fund beds, not only at the pallet shelter, but also at the tourist shelter, I believe.
Okay, and has that funding expired?
My guess is it has or is getting very close to. That was allocated in early 2024, if I remember correctly. So, and it was over the course of 2 or 3 years, but without political commentary, because I'm not here for political commentary, even though I probably included some of it. The state of California has spent upwards of $24 billion on homelessness. So the accounting aspect on that side of it hasn't been fantastic from the state level. So I'm hopeful, and I'm not sure of where the city is in the grant process, if they're trying to renew that or if it's available for renew at this point.
Okay, thank you.
But there are continuing grants available, usually through the state. So,
through the chair, Andrew, do they build those right there in Chico? Is there a company?
Yeah, so they don't come pre-assembled. The city actually had to build them, but they do come. They're very IKEA-ish in that respect. So they are put together in pretty rapid fashion. I can tell you that this site was set up in less than, I think, 2.5 months, from grading it to putting it together to, fully up and running and operational. And that was from a push from the council to move forward so we could start clearing areas in Chico that were very controversial. Comanche Creek, 1 mile in the lower part of Bidwell Park, they were all pretty much overrun. And those are areas that this, citizens really held near and dear. If you're familiar with Sycamore Pool, the 1 mile recreation area in Chico, it's something that the citizens of Chico really love, and it was literally overrun with campsites. So, but.
Then my follow-up question was, you said there was 2 beds in each one?
Yeah, there's 2 beds in each one, but we don't, and so it goes back to your question in terms of how full is it? It has never exceeded the capacity of the shelter itself of 344, but it's very rare that we actually put 2 people into one shelter.
Okay.
So while the units themselves have never been at capacity, even though they've gotten up there very close to the 177 units full, some people choose to live there together. So we've had more than, if you look at it, the units themselves have never been completely full.
What else is what size are they? What else is in there?
So, and you can kind of see in the picture, there are 2 beds. Those beds lift up. Basically, it's, let's say it's 10 by, close to a 10 by 10 kind of space is probably the best I could estimate it out. It has a bed on both sides. It has a door that can lock. But can be unlocked if necessary by the folks running the shelter. And then the back wall in the center. So it's very much kind of like what I would say is a bunk, a bedroom on a cabin, on a cruise. So it's kind of the same thing. It's not huge. It's not somewhere you'd want to spend your entire day, but there are other services on site. There are outdoor tents where they can have their meals. We actually had dog runs set up because they can't have up to, and that is one of the issues that keeps our homeless from entering the shelter. If they have more than 3 or more animals, they cannot enter a shelter. If they have 2, they can come to the pallet shelter, and there is a place, a kennel for them to have their dogs. But a lot of them don't like that because we did put in to effect that dogs, when they were out in the general area, had to be muzzled. And that was a requirement. We really just didn't want to get into the dog bite business. So that was something that we required and the judge approved us to do. So that was somewhat controversial, but does keep some people out. And obviously there's humane questions that come along with keeping pets in outdoor campgrounds, but states failed to move on that. So, but yeah. So they're bed on both sides, storage under it, and then power on the back wall with the heating and air conditioning. So they're pretty simple. It's certainly not luxury living. So, and there are mattresses, of course, on both. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I do. So, I'm sorry, was someone else? The population of homelessness in Chico is approximately?
Well, it varies. Last pit count, I honestly didn't look at it. I know it has increased slightly over the previous pit count in 2023. I can't say that this is necessarily solving the homeless.
Sure. I'm just a ballpark number. I know Chico's like 400, let's say, or Yuba County is 600. Do you know what the just approximate number is?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I'd be remiss to say it and mention it and have it be wrong. So
all right. I'm curious about the shelter itself. As far as the vision of it, it seems like it's actually a place to live. You guys provide food 2 meals a day on site.
Yes.
There's no, you have to leave after a certain period, and you guys don't require case management. So this is literally affordable housing in a way, in that they can just live there for the rest of their life if they wanted to.
No, case management is built into it.
Okay.
They have to actually go through. They are continually hounded about case management. Almost every single person there meets with a caseworker.
Okay.
So they're assessed on the street, and then case management comes with it. So they all have interaction on a regular basis with either someone from behavioral health or someone from the assessment team or someone from the shelter and their organization itself.
Okay, so I guess I misunderstood.
Very
Because you had over
recognized.
500 unique individuals, but 330 people received case management. So that's why I thought there was a gap, and so I thought people weren't required.
No gap, because that was just in the first 2 years.
Okay, so everyone is receiving case management.
Every single
So
person.
the vision is to move them from this
Yes.
to something better.
Yeah, and I can
Okay.
tell you there are literally hundreds of stories of people moving out of this shelter and moving on with life. So it does work in that respect and has been very successful in that respect. You guys, of course, have had shelters down here which have been successful as well, over the years too. So I'm familiar with those. When we were actually looking at this, we were coming to Marysville to look at 10 Forward. So, yeah.
And so the cost per person, assuming you have 250 people in the shelter, assuming you're spending $5 million, is something like $20,000 a person, provides them a place to live and provides them with 2 meals. So it's basically their entire cost, their utilities, everything's covered. What wouldn't be covered in that $20,000 per person?
Everything's covered.
Everything's covered.
And that's the reality of it. We continually have people go, hey, you're spending this much. Why not just buy them a house? And, and that's, that would be great. First off, we know just putting somebody into a hotel room, and we had a lot of experience with this during COVID, is when we were housing people in just hotel rooms, that went very bad very quickly, particularly if there was no case management involved, which at that time there really wasn't. So, people go, hey, that's a ton of money that you're spending. Well, that money is really, a lot of that money is not only the food and the clothing, laundry services and shower services, making sure they have basic needs, but a lot of it has to do with the case management.
Okay.
So a huge percentage of it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'll leave my copy up here.
Tom has a public comment. We don't usually do public comment on presentations, but Tom, I'm going to make an exception for you.
Question.
Go ahead.
Sure. I'm McWhorter, member of Olivers. Hey, I'm not really familiar with your program except for today's presentation.
Sure.
But did I understand you to say that drug usage is allowed?
So drug usage is allowed, and it was because of the settlement agreement that we entered into. We could not stop and require drug usage. Now, Chico will be out of this settlement agreement, and there have been pushes to get out of this settlement agreement. I think pushes that should have been successful.
I was going to ask you, what laws did they decide that we don't have to follow in the state of California without the legislator and the governor signing off, saying, we can use these drugs? Because could you walk through there right now without seeing a drug needle on the ground? Or
there's if you walked through there, you would not see drug paraphernalia.
Okay,
that is kept solely into the units. I can say that the federal judge was the one who said we would not be able to limit drug use, and the idea behind that is they want low barrier shelter, and low barrier shelter by the federal definition and the state definition is actually providing shelter that anyone, even with a drug problem, can come to and access.
If I can clarify, I don't think that they have like a circle where they're passing around the bong. What they have is they can't drug test them, and if they flunk their drug test, boot them. That's what I think.
And they don't monitor what they bring in and out of the shelter. So if it's a legal paraphernalia, obviously, if someone brings in,
I didn't even think about the drug testing aspect. I was just thinking about
if the cops walk through and they see him shooting up, they can arrest him.
That was, I was going to say, what have your law enforcement officers received as far as instructions? Turn a blind eye?
No, there is security on site. And a substantial amount of security on site, and PD, obviously, when there's an issue or the staff has an issue, PD responds very quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Pleasure.
We are moving to our next presentation, which is going to be Health and Human Services.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. My name is John Cornell. I'm the Assistant Director at Health and Human Services. And this is our quarterly report that I'm going to present to you. I actually haven't been up here since, I think, May of 2025, but very happy to be up here again to get you guys all caught up to speed on what we have going on at HHS right now. So this is, I think a video played for a second here, but this is our all of our staff, not all of them, but over 100 of them, dressed in pink for our what has become a tradition at HHS, our Pink October celebration. which is has been a great just morale event for all of our staff and connectivity event. There we go. We're trying to do that thing where we all jump up in the air at the same time. I don't think we nailed it on that one, but maybe next year. There is your part of your leadership team out at Health and Human Services. And our mission is to be a catalyst for building a healthy and thriving community. And so all of our activities are guided by that mission statement, coupled with the county strategic plan. So throughout this presentation, I'm going to walk through 6 different projects that we're working on or in development or different stages, and try to tie what we're doing directly to the pillars listed in the strategic plan. So the first thing I want to talk about are the substance use disorder sessions that have been held recently. We had one a while ago in these very board chambers here, and that was primarily for different professionals and clinicians, a lot of people from HHS, different partner agencies. Was held during work hours, and it was very well attended, and there was a lot of positive feedback about that session. It was presented by Dr. Jeff DeVito up here, board certified and nationally recognized addiction medicine expert. And we also have our public health officer, Dr. Liu, up there. She didn't do any presenting in the body of the session, but without her, she was definitely a key reason that this connection was cultivated between Dr. DeVito and Health and Human Services. So we have her up there too. The first session was for professionals. This recent session, held just a couple of weeks ago, was for the community and had a great turnout, I thought. 79 people attended, a lot of residents with relatives that are substance users, a lot of residents that had a substance use history in their past. I'm going to go backwards here. Whoops. There we go. Just very, very well attended. I think the 79 people that came really shows the level of interest and the level of need in the community for this type of a session. So I think we're planning on more in the future. We need to speak with Dr. DeVito about that. So on to these 14 forward renovations. This fits squarely under the social services pillar of the strategic plan. And there are a couple of photos up here, but this project initially started as a way to address and mitigate some of the just structural repairs that were needed and building maintenance issues, but it's grown since then. The project governance consists of these biweekly meetings that are held between Health and Human Services and Administrative Services and the Twin Cities Rescue Mission, and then this vendor KPA group. And they have developed actually their own vision, all of the partners together, called Mission North. And it's got multiple phases now, and its own defined goals and outcomes for each phase. So part of the first phase was some of this structural remediation. The modular building has been totally transformed into what they're calling a training center. The residents of the mission took that on themselves to renovate that entire space. And the training center offers substance use support groups and different services to the entire community, not just to the residents there. And then different partners come out to that training center and offer other services. We have Adventist Health and Ride Out coming out, the Yuba County One Stop, and then Narcan training being provided by the Red Cross. So the phase one priorities are focused on renovating the intake building and doing the improvements for the individual shelter units, and then creating a dedicated women's shelter portion here. And then some of the future vision includes a permanent bathroom and shower area, a communal dining area, a multi-purpose building, and then an improved dog run section for the different residents that come in with pets. Now we'll talk about yubahelps.com. And this is, this fits under the service delivery pillar of the strategic plan. But this project is aimed at connecting our residents and others too, different county departments, partners within the community, you all directly with the trusted services and providers that we work directly with. So I've been to many board meetings and heard several times, oh, there's so many programs out at HHS, we just need to figure out how to connect people with those programs. That is what this project is aimed at doing. So yubahelps.com is an online provider database that anybody with the website can go to and search for any resources that they need. So that can be a resident looking for a program that they want to get involved in. It can be another county department. It can be a partner in the community. It can be one of you. You're talking to one of your constituents and you are thinking, what's that thing I remember? There was something, and you can hop right on this portal and look for any resources that might be of value to you or your residents. You can, of course, Google things too, but the reason that we think that Find Help will add value for everyone is because this is a curated database coming directly from Health and Human Services. So these are our trusted providers, first of all. We're essentially removing any kind of gateway between HHS as the middleman and these other partners that we would refer to. And we're asking our partners to come on to the site and claim their listing so that everybody that looks at any listing on there knows that the information on there is accurate and up to date and has been vetted. So it's not just the Wild West of anything on the internet anywhere that you've looked up. This is trusted information from HHS and the providers directly. We do have an entire sort of marketing blitz planned. This website just went live on February 1st. You can go to it now. Our marketing includes a whole bunch of physical material like business cards and stickers and magnets, and then we have some digital campaigns planned for our monument sign and the county digital billboard, and then we plan on pushing out social media posts, and we have bus stop advertising that we're going to do. So we really, once we're ready and have a good product to present, which will be soon, we're going to really try and blanket the community in this advertising so that people will know it's out there, be able to get on and check it out and find resources without having to wait for HHS to play the interim role. And I think that covers most of Yuba Helps. Let's talk about Care Connect. Care Connect is a project we embarked on a little while ago out at Health and Human Services. And first of all, it fits directly under service delivery, trying to connect our residents with services in a way that meets them and is the most helpful to the people that need the services. So I think anybody with experience trying to get medical treatment, especially at the specialist level, knows that can be difficult. It can mean there are barriers that almost are immediately evident. The specialist is hard to get a hold of, and it might mean travel to Sacramento or Chico or maybe even the Bay Area or further. So we've seen a rise in telemedicine or telehealth where maybe you don't need to go see the specialist in person. You can get on basically a Zoom call, like a hardened platform that's HIPAA compliant, and have like a Zoom call with your doctor. A lot of the time that meets the need, and then you don't have to go all the way down to San Francisco to see him, right? And so it can remove some of those barriers. But it presents a whole different set of barriers for a lot of people. There's not everybody has a device that they can have a telehealth meeting on. Maybe they have a device, but their Wi-Fi isn't good enough. They don't have high-speed connectivity. that'll support a face-to-face Zoom meeting. Maybe they have those two things, but they don't have a space, a private space where they can discuss their medical needs and have an actual doctor's appointment. Maybe they have all those three things, but they just don't want to figure out the technology. So you can see all of these different things that, even though telehealth sounds like this great option, hey, we fixed it, there's still all these different barriers. So at HHS, we have this resource available to the community. Anybody, they don't even need to tell us why, but it can be any of those reasons or something else. They let us know they've got this doctor's appointment and they would like to use our space to complete that, and we will deliver concierge service to them so that they can come in, have a private room. We've got all of the technology figured out. They've got their laptop and a camera. You see a picture of it here with, I think that's Raquel showing off our room. But the door closes. We'll have one of our staff sit right outside. They've got a professional. There's no privacy issues. The door's closed. But if anything happens, I don't know the password to the Wi-Fi. I can't get the app to work. The camera's not doing. There's somebody right outside that can help them. They're just on their laptop doing their regular work otherwise. And it really, we think, provides a valuable resource to the community for people that may have these different barriers that they're trying to overcome for their health access needs. Then I would like to show you some information about this tobacco forum that we had, which was very well attended, over 100 people in attendance. This is supporting, I think, the community of participation pillar in the strategic plan. And this was a full schedule of activities and has been talked about several. I've heard about it several times since it happened. A lot of positive feedback about this. One of the key obligations in the tobacco grant managed by Health and Human Services is to provide education about tobacco and about the negative effects and health outcomes of it. And that is what this event was aimed at. And there was a whole full schedule of really creative things to spread awareness within the community. There were 4 different high school groups that came, and they all presented videos that they created that were focused on wellness activities that they do, that instead of engaging in vaping or tobacco related things. This Escape the Vape Room, which we've done different kind of iterations of several times at different things, but we always get positive feedback about that, usually from parents. There's a display of all these vaping products mixed in with regular things, and inevitably somebody comes out of there saying, like, if my kid had this stuff in their bag, I never would have known. I never would have known that this was a vaping product. There was a whole panel of speakers. You can see this researcher here with the microphone in the upper left recently published a study with UC Davis that about all these harmful materials that are found in vape products that were unknown before that. There was like an interview panel of people with lived experience, including a couple of 6th graders that came up and shared their stories about being caught with vaping products at school and how they no longer do it. And let's move on to our CMSP workforce development slider. This is my final slide. This fits underneath the partnerships and collaboration pillar of the strategic plan. This CMSP workforce and development planning grant that HHS is engaged in right now is, I think, going to be really key to some of the outcomes in the community here. It is, I think, in any topic, easy to sort of be glib and go into it and say, well, this doesn't work, so it's not working. And you can say that about the medical access needs here in Yuba County. Well, we need more doctors, so what are you going to do, right? We need to get more doctors somehow. This planning grant is designed to drill down a level deeper, because the devil is always in the details. Do we actually need more doctors? It's clear that there's a problem to solve, but how do we solve that, and where are the deficiencies? So maybe we need more doctors and nurses, but maybe we need other different professions like X-ray technicians or phlebotomists, or one of the things bubbling up right now is medical assistants. So This grant is designed at figuring out exactly what's needed, where the pipeline is breaking or bottlenecking, and then how to fix those things. There's a few different stages. The key informant interviews and strategy sessions were completed back in December and January. Right now in February, all of the focus groups with students and counselors are being completed, and then the formal coalition is being formed. And then in March and April, the actual workforce strategy implementation plan will be developed and then submitted to CMSP. So in April, we submit the final product, and then we apply for the workforce development implementation grant. There's a bunch of different partners involved with this. Adventist Health and Ride Out, Marysville Joint, Yuba College, local dental practices, Bi-County Ambulance, and they have all expressed their gratitude and how happy that they are that Yuba County Public Health is leading this effort. So that is the final slide, and I am happy to take any questions that anybody has.
Through the chair. Man, I need some water. But I had a question for you on the workforce development side, and I have another question after that. But the population that we serve, is there a difference in our county services needs for phlebotomists and MAs versus the private sector, like the Sutter Health, or is it the same problem everywhere? Or do we have a specific need that's higher than the rest or lower than the rest?
I think we have found some specific needs that are different from other counties. I may have to tag in one of my team members here for a more detailed answer, but I don't think that medical assistants are uniformly needed everywhere, but that has been defined as a specific need based off of what these key informant interviews have revealed.
Hi, Dr. Liu.
Hi, good morning. The concerns and the needs in terms of workforce is everywhere. So it doesn't matter if it's the private sector or the public sector. And we do involve all of the healthcare partners within the CMSP planning grant. So I have heard even from Sutter Health, Dr. Blair, as the president of Sutter North, saying he would love a lot more radiology technicians.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering if we had anything that was unique compared to other, because I know all of our healthcare centers are overtaxed and it's already expensive enough to operate those facilities, and they can't take on more and they need more. But the other question I had was, I've seen in a lot of pictures in this presentation and others where we've had Blue Zones support. And with that program winding down, is that going to affect HHS? How much do we partner with Blue Zones?
Well, we partner with Blue Zones a lot on a few different initiatives. I don't know now how much it'll affect HHS, but Blue Zones, what we've done is, and I think what their project was initially designed to do, was to give places a template of how to integrate Blue Zones activities and life and the lifestyle and framework into your workplace, your business, and then kind of, maintain that template and be this Blue Zones certified place. And that's where we're at now. We have a maintenance plan. We are going to continue to maintain our Blue Zone certification and all those activities that we engage in now, so that we can continue to be a Blue Zone certified workplace.
Okay. Well, thank you. That answered a good question for me.
If no one else, I'd like to talk about 14 Forward. So if you need to tag someone in, I'd like to get into the number of beds, when those beds will be available, and what services are going to be happening.
Hi, good morning. Melissa Shaw, Deputy Director in Health and Human Services. You might have to repeat the second half of the question. The first half I heard you asked about number of bed space. I'm hoping in the next 4 weeks that is completely identified. Right now, what we have identified is that the women's shelter will have between 35 and 37 beds for women. The individual units and the min shelter, we're still working through the process.
Okay, ballpark, do you think it's going to be 20, 50?
My hope is that it is going to be comparable or greater than the women's shelter.
Okay, and then what is the time frame for each of those to open?
I'm also hoping in the next 4 weeks that we have a timeline. So in our next meeting, which is a week from today, we are going to cement the phase 1, 2, and 3 goals and then finalize the timeline.
Okay, so again, if we just had to ballpark, are we talking 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years? When do we think beds might be available?
Ballpark, I think a year.
Okay, so in 1 year, both sides, so we would hopefully have something like 80 more beds in 1 year.
In 1 year, I'm hoping, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you guys. All right, we will move on to public communications, Mary.
Yes, any person may speak about any subject of concern, provided it is within the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors and is not already on today's agenda. The total amount of time allotted for receiving such public communication shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes, and each individual or group will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Prior to this time, speakers are requested to fill out a request to speak card and submit it to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors. Please note, no board action can be taken on comments made under this heading. And through the chair, we have no one on Zoom, and we do have one card, and that person's name is Tom McWhorter.
Good morning, Supervisors. Tom McWhorter from Olivehurst. I apologize for my voice. The trees have decided to bloom early, and I know we're going to have a hard frost, so it'll be again. I just wanted to note that, or let you guys know that almost 5 years to the day, that would be actually February 16th, 2021, the Moose Lodge in Olivehurst suffered a catastrophic electrical fire and had to close our operations down until we got rebuilt. On Saturday, this past Saturday, I think the 8th, or anyway, we had our soft opening. In other words, we have our certificate of occupancy. We have a brand new fire suppression system in the kitchen, dual air conditioning systems, heating and air, brand new ADA compliant bathrooms. And I'd like to say that thank you very much to our CDSA, Kevin Perkins and Mike Lee and the rest of the crew that helped us massage the process and got us to where we are today. We'll be having a hard opening sometime in April. Of course, we'll be making more advertisements. And just to let the public know that, we are back. We're located at 1775 Beverly Avenue in Olivehurst. And so while we don't have any regular hours just yet, we do have our social quarter ABC license, and we're a family-oriented organization. So you have more choices than just Yuba City or Goodley now. You can come over and become a member of the Olivehurst Moose Lodge, and hope to see you there.
Thank you very much, Tom. And we will be going to county departments. I don't think did we pull the minutes or did we amend the minutes? Oh, okay, well, let's do the minutes.
Well, on the minutes, what we have listed for last week is just the agenda item, the cost accounting hearing. Instead of putting Supervisor Messick and Supervisor House as no's, we listed them as absent, so we'll be doing that correction.
I'll make a motion we approve with the corrections of no rather than absent.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Excuse me, I thought Supervisor House also wanted an amendment to the minutes. Is that included in this motion?
I was advised that I could not add it.
If we can include it, I will like to have that included. Can we?
It's just it was a I just requested that we include my comment about parental consent, but I was told that we don't include board member comments on items typically. So I'm okay with just making the reference that on the record that all these comments can be seen online if they watch the video.
Nothing further.
All right, motion carried. And we will be moving on to county departments.
Yes, so for county departments, we do have one item. It's agenda item 6-2026. County Administrator adopt resolution amending and repealing various policy numbers to the Yuba County Administrative Policy and Procedures Manual.
Yes, good morning, Chair, members of the board. Kevin Mallon, Yuba County Administrator. So we have a batch of policies for the board to consider this morning. We've been going through all of the county policies and then bringing them forward as we've pulled together updates. I believe there's 11 in this batch. And so just to run through them real quick, there's a policy C2, which is on our personnel position requests. We added a purpose section to that particular policy. And then we also updated the policy to kind of reflect some new workflows related to our NeoGov software that was recently implemented. So anyway, so there's changes throughout. And all of these policies were in your agenda packet with strike changes so that you could follow along with what was being changed. So I'm just going over a summary. We have a legislative program policy that we added purpose to, and then we also added a clarifying section in there related to elected department heads, make sure it's clear what they can do from a legislative advocacy position relative to the Board of Supervisors. And then there's a county council services policy that were additions and amendments were made to that. One of the additions was related to a Public Records Act request section. And then on our automotive transportation policy, we added a purpose section and responsibility section in there as well as adding some reporting obligations so that it's clear back to transparency on, for example, when the board goes through the process annually on take-home vehicle assignments. So anyways, updates on that one. On our facilities management policy, we again added a purpose section and then updated various procedures there. We have a vending machines policy, just so the board's aware, so that, how do we manage when we have vendors that want to place a vending machine at a county facility. So we added a purpose section on that as well as the responsibilities and definition section. County flags policy, updates were made there to the purpose. We added a purpose section and then updated some of our procedures relative to that policy. Waste disposal policy, again, added purpose and then updated some of our e-waste standards within that policy. Security badges, again, added a purpose and responsibility section and made some minor updates there. And then our information technology policy, again, added purpose and responsibilities. And then there's also a removal of a policy H3, which is an information security governance program, because that was that's no longer needed because the board adopted a security administration manual that IT presented and the board adopted in March of 2025. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the board has about the various policy changes.
Through the chair. Thanks for going through and making all these updates. I just had a couple comments. I don't know if there'll be questions or not. Does it make sense to leave the name or to put in the name NeoGov, or should we just say a human resources system? Just because it's a
vendor. Yeah, that's a great point. Supervisor House.
We kind of strip out names on titles and contracted companies we do business with on other areas. So I just don't know if we need NeoGov or just a description of what kind of service it is. And then on the let's see here. Sorry. A lot of information here.
Right.
On the legislative program, let's see here. Sorry. when we have elected department heads, that includes just the outside of the Board of Supervisors, you're stating, correct?
That's correct. So you have 6
So
elected.
how do we handle, so we just handle business as usual here if one of us wants to bring something forward that's a legislation change, for whether it's county ordinance or anything else, we just continue to follow the same process as usual. There's no change there.
There's no change there, exactly.
Okay. Well, that was my clarification. And the legal services part, it takes out a lot of unnecessary words, but just want to make sure that we have a big switch here. It says, the last time it said requests shall not be made through email, and now it switched 2 words, and now it's they need to be made through email. So that was intentional, correct?
Yes, and actually, County Council, if Janet, is there something you want to follow up on that one? But I believe this is probably reflecting more of an electronic process versus a paper process that we've traditionally had on legal requests.
Okay, thank you.
So if I could, through the chair, I think we could move forward with the item with the striking NeoGov and changing it to an appropriate kind of generic name, HR software, or we'll come up with an appropriate name to put in there if the board would maybe consider that as part of your motion.
Okay. Any public comment?
All right. I would move for approval with the change to the item descripted.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mary?
Yes, so next we have correspondence. We have agenda item 46-2026. We received 6 notices from California Fish and Game Commission regarding the February 11th through the 12th, 2026 meeting agenda, and also notices of proposed changes in regulations.
All right, board and staff member reports.
I just want to thank everybody that came out to the community cleanup and helped in the planning process. It was a great day of work. I ended up helping 7 senior disabled residents clear their properties, which was about 3,000 pounds in one load and 2,200 pounds in the other load. And so that was pretty good. And then I haven't got final numbers from Recology yet, but they made it pretty simple. Everybody just pulled through the scale house like normal. There was no extenuating line or anything like that. Just overall success and positive attitudes. Even the people in the scale house were happy to help verify people's information. And again, thanks to our GIS mapping guys, we were able to get a list of all the residences in my district and made that process simple. So this week we're going to be celebrating at CSAC. Our county is getting, or not our county, one of our programs is getting an award, the We're Not Scared, We're Prepared presentation. And last week I got to go sit in on one of those presentations at Kynoch School. The first graders, they really enjoy that presentation, and I still remember when I was a kid, because I'm kind of a baby compared to some people, but that we'd spend time talking about evacuating out of your house and things like that if there was a household fire. And so it's nice that we went from this generic city message of how to get out of your house to being prepared for anything, whether it's flood, natural disaster, all that. So excited to celebrate them tomorrow night, and a lot more to come. So that's it for me.
Got a few items. So first of all, the 175th birthday celebration of the city of Marysville last Thursday evening was great. Supervisors House and Messick were there, and I really enjoyed that the city honored businesses and organizations that had been operating in the city for more than 100 years. So I thought that was really outstanding, and there were quite a few of them. Actually, I was shocked at how many there were. I also was, I knew that Union Lumber had been around forever, but I had no idea that it was the same owners, same family that still owns that business that started it in the 1850s. And so super cool to be part of that. And then last Thursday or Friday, I guess, I attended a healthcare roundtable with Congressman Thompson and healthcare leaders and county leaders from Sutter and Yuba, Colusa, and Placer County, and Dr. Liu joined me there and was able to provide our perspective from a county standpoint of some of the challenges we see with regard to healthcare and impacts from HR1. And our private sector partners also shared their concerns about impact from HR1, in addition to just general challenges that they face regarding access and staffing and those kinds of things. I'll be with Rennick tomorrow night at the CSAC Awards Dinner, so I'm excited to celebrate our county and that amazing program. Last couple weeks and this week, I've got some RCRC and various SACOG meetings. And then on Thursday afternoon, the 9th Reconnaissance Wing is having an award celebration at Beale, and so I'll be out there for that. And then next week I'll be on vacation and then headed to NACO with Supervisor House after that. And so I know the two of us will be absent from the next board meeting because we'll be at NACO. So and that's it.
Great, thank you. Yes, the 175th anniversary of Marysville was a really neat event and learned a lot of things. Then Friday night I went to the food bank dinner, which was a really good dinner. And Saturday, I went to the first annual historic history deal in Marysville. Michael was there in uniform, and it was a neat event. I took my son. For those that you don't know, they're really trying to get a Yuba County Museum put together, and this was probably a first step just to showcase how much history we have. Followed by Saturday night, the Yuba City Rotary Crab Feed. So I was pretty worn out this weekend. And yeah, I'm going to be out of town Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'll be reachable by phone or email. You can try email. Phone's better. That's it.
Saturday night did the Hmong State Chamber of Commerce, but this last couple of weeks I've been spending a lot of time trying to coordinate with our local homeless agencies. So spoke with REST, Hands of Hope, Habitat, Rescue Mission, trying to figure out how we're going to move forward in the new environment. Yuba City just gave, I think, $30,000 a year to REST over the next 3 or 4 years. So that's going to help them hopefully expand. Going to be working with some local churches, seeing if we can add a space and then, of course, expand their season. They are only for winter months. And so finding ways to improve those services. Thank you again so much to Andrew for showing us how other communities are doing it. Had some meetings with CDSA. They were informative. Thank you guys for those. One guy didn't meet with me, and he's going to be on the hook to explain everything we're doing for 14 Forward. So I want him to do his homework. So when we meet, he can give me the 411 there. Happy Valentine's Day, and we will adjourn and go into our closed session. Recess into our closed session. You didn't have anything? Yeah. I didn't just ignore him.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.
that comes through